Well, Holly, Monday night, 8 Democrats joined the Republicans and seemingly ended the government shutdown because we ended up getting 60 votes from the Senate, the U.S. Senate, enough to at least put forward the continuing resolution, thinking, well, we're back to normal. The government shutdown's over. But there were some changes in this Senate version that are now going to go back to the House, and some House members are going, hey, wait a minute. This is not what we gave you a couple months ago.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. So, look, we have Cami Mondeaux on the line. Cami, you are the best go-to person. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Yes, absolutely.
So you published an article this morning in the Deseret News that said House Republicans angry with funding bill provision. And just, tell us about that, because this was news to me.
Absolutely. So one of these provisions that was tucked into the now spending package that's going to reopen the government was this provision that would allow senators who have had their phone records obtained by the federal government, namely the Justice Department, they could actually sue the federal agency and get up to, $500,000 per violation. But that was passed in the spending resolution. But House Republicans are upset with that because they did not know this was a provision that was passed until it's now been sent back to them for approval.
So wasn't it passed by Senate Republicans?
It was, yes. And Senate Republicans are actually the ones who kind of crafted this language and stuck it in there. They just didn't inform their Republicans on the other side of Capitol Hill that it was in there.
So, Cami, this, for me, at least, came right out of the blue. Do we know what was behind this? Is there something going on right now with the Senate Republicans and the Justice Department or federal agencies that have caused this? Or do we know why they would throw this wrench in?
It's been part of this kind of continuing fight against, Senate Republicans toward the Biden DOJ. It was revealed a couple of weeks ago that Jack Smith, that former special counsel under the Biden administration, had obtained, I think it was 8 senators whose phone records were obtained as part of an investigation into the January 6th riots. These senators were unaware of that until it was revealed just a couple of weeks ago. They are obviously very upset, view that as a political weaponization of the federal government. And so now with this tucked in, they can retroactively sue the Justice Department for that and receive money for being investigated.
So let me ask you this then, procedural question. Is this, as it goes to the House, is it going to be a straight up or down vote? They can't strip that provision out and then send it back over, or are they just trying to do straight up or down?
Right. So Democrats last night, after revealing this, they wanted to introduce an amendment to take that out of the spending resolution. And a lot of these Republicans who are upset that this is in there, they conceded that they do want to strip that language out. They just don't want to do it yet because they don't want to send the resolution back to the Senate. They think the shutdown would just last a lot longer. They just want to end it right away. But some of them are, signaling that they'll introduce legislation perhaps later to repeal it. But yes, that's just tucked into the larger spending resolution to reopen the government.
So, Cami, what are we hearing from the House Speaker and others about when and how the House is going to get together, start meeting, start debating what is now a continuing resolution in their pocket?
Absolutely. So the House will return at 4 p.m. this afternoon. They're going to be opening up the floor for the first time in 54 days, and they're going to start debate on this spending bill. They're going to have their first procedural vote, which will require pretty much everyone, not everyone, but a 218 majority at the least, to advance to debate, and we're expecting a final vote around 7:30 p.m.
So do you anticipate that the Democrats are going to argue against this bill long and loud, or is it just going to be, we object?
I think we will see a few probably want to come to the floor for debate to at least, object to the fact that there are no Obamacare subsidies in here. We do expect House Democratic leaders to also announce a new discharge petition that they want to have Obamacare extensions. That would be separate from the bill, of course. So we do expect to see some objection, but not enough to, hold up this vote. So we do expect it to happen tonight, and they'll only have about an hour of debate time.
We're speaking with Cami Mondeaux, Deseret News Congressional Correspondent, and I think one of the things on the table for today, Cami, is the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, the Democrat from Arizona. Maybe that's already occurred, but that's going to happen with a little bit of fanfare, isn't it?
Yes, so that will be one of the first things on the schedule tonight. So she will be sworn in around 4 p.m. with Speaker Johnson. And then there will be a bit of a photo opportunity, to take her official swearing-in photo. During that, we do expect, Adelita Grijalva suggested that she'd probably try to confront Speaker Johnson for taking so long. This will be the first time that they have met in person, so there probably will be some sort of, back and forth. But the ceremony itself will happen when the floor opens at 4 p.m.
Cami, I know that there is a continuing resolution and there are also 3 different funding bills. Is that correct?
Correct. So the way that the Senate packaged it, it was that CR that funds the government until the end of January, but also attaches 3 full-year spending bills, and that will be all together.
So what are the chances then that we're back talking about a government shutdown in January, since this continuing resolution only takes us to the end of January?
That is a conversation already starting. We're heading into the holidays. The lawmakers won't be here that much in November and December. So there is a very real chance that we do see ourselves in a similar position at the end of January. Appropriators are trying to get a head start on some of these spending bills. You're going to see the House most likely adding voting days to their calendar after being out of town for so long. But it is very likely that we could be in a similar position come the end of January.
Cami, did the Democrats get anything in exchange for their support of this continuing resolution, or at least in support of moving this bill down the road, with respect to their concerns about the apparently soon loss in subsidies to the Affordable Care Act? Is there anything promising that they can tell their constituents that they may have received from Republicans to get this thing moving forward?
The only concession they really got is that Senate Majority Leader John Thune promised that they would have a vote on extending the subsidies. That's going to happen either the first or second week of December in the Senate. There's no guarantees that it will pass. There's no guarantee that they will actually have something that will extend the subsidies, but the promise was that they will get a vote of some sort.
Cami, when we've talked to you before, one of the things that we had heard swirling around, and you confirmed that there was some discussion that furloughed workers would not get back pay, only the accepted workers. What do we know about this funding bill that's over on the House side? Will they get paid or not paid?
I think that was one of the other concessions that Democrats were able to get, is that everybody will get back pay. They also were able to get language that those workers that were laid off will be reinstated and they will receive back pay. So the back pay issue, for the most part, should be put to bed. Everybody should be able to get all of the money that they're owed. That was another thing that Democrats were able to secure and were able to push them over the line to support on the Senate side.
Thanks, Cami. That was Cami Mondeaux, Deseret News Congressional Correspondent.